What's happening, guys? This is a video regarding my biggest wins and my biggest losses trading the stock market today. I'm going to run through why I put the trades on, my thinking behind them, and also what to avoid with the losses and what to look out for the gains. So stay tuned for that. If you're new around here, drop us a like, subscribe if you're new. Let's get into the video. Okay, so first things first, my biggest loss to date was, as you can see, was based around airlines. I don't know why I was trading airlines at this particular time. It was quite a long time ago. It was back in June last year. It was actually on my mum's birthday. So as you can imagine, that wasn't probably the funnest birthdays for my mum, or probably wasn't the best of companies to be around that day. We've got United Continental Holdings, which I believe is UAL, United Airlines. It's just what it says on IG Index. Then we've got a whole load of Southwest Airlines, and we've got a whole load of American Airlines as well. Now, the reason why I put these trades on, I believe, was because the Dow Jones had come off quite a lot, and these stocks generally tend to follow the Dow Jones. The first trade I'd lost, as you can see, was £173.60. £173.60 was my first loss of that day, which should have been the only loss. Okay, this is why I stress risk management. I thought I lost a lot more. I thought I lost about 8,000 or 9,000. Obviously, I haven't revisited back at this time because I can't bear to look at it. It's making me feel quite sick looking at it, to be honest. But I actually lost £6,213.70 on that one particular day. It hurts my head. It really hurts my head, because one loss of £173.60 turned out to be £6,213.70 loss. This is why I stressed you about risk management, because at this time I'm sitting here trying to explain to you what the trades were and why I was putting them on. I actually don't know what I was doing at this point. You know, when you're in that situation when your brain is gone and you're in such a crazy mindset, you're just buying, you're selling, you're buying, you're selling, you're trying to make money back, and you're just in a mental gambling state. I was trading like an absolute lunatic. And the problem is if I had £6,200 in my hand and I was taking out £700, £500 out of that each time, I'd be like, what the hell am I doing? What is going on? But where it's on the screen, I'm sure you guys can relate to this as well. Where it's on the screen, it's almost like it's not real. You know, it's almost like, this isn't actually happening. And then all of a sudden you look at your balance, you think, Jesus Christ, what have I just done? And I think that's just what happened, why I stopped all of a sudden. So this is what I stressed to you about risk management and how important it is to take that 2% loss and shut your computer down and leave it. I'm not saying that you're going to do something like this. I really hope you don't do something like this. However, this is what it can lead to when you lose your mind and you start doing crazy trades. Now, this wasn't just one trade, as you can see. I don't know how many it is. I don't want to count, to be honest with you. But it looks about 10, 15 trades. And it's just bananas. The single one loss trade that I did was when I didn't have a clue what I was doing. It was around Brexit time last year. And it was on GBP USD, and I think I was short when the Brexit news had just come out that they were agreeing Brexit or something, or vice versa, I can't remember. And I was about £2,000 or so offside, and I didn't cut it. I didn't even have a stop loss in. So this is sort of an example as to where I've come from in terms of trading and how badly my strategy was to where I am now, basically. And this is why I stressed to you the importance of risk management, okay? What to avoid from this. Always, I stress it enough, always have your 2% risk management, okay? So I'm not being funny, £173.60, obviously it's a lot of money, but compared to £6,200, I could have walked away from that. Do you know what it was? I know exactly what it was. At that time, I wasn't comfortable losing money. I hadn't worked out in my brain, this is part of the game. I always thought I was gonna win. I always thought I was gonna win every trade. When I did lose a trade, I couldn't work out why. And then I thought, that's not right. Let me get back to winning ways. And then obviously I kept trying to do it. You have to accept that losses are a part of this game. And until you can do that, this is potentially what could happen. Okay, so lessons learned, I learned from this. Number one, always have your risk management in place. Number two, always make sure that risk management is 2% or less. Number three, when you lose a trade, shut your computer down and walk out of the room. Do not let yourself get involved in that craziness that you can see there. So yeah, look, that's enough of that, all right? It actually depresses me looking at it. I want to get it off my screen. It drives me crazy that I allowed myself to get into something like that. But I learned a lot of lessons, and it was at this point when I had to sit down and really look at myself and think, what can you learn from this and what you're going to do moving forward? This is when I became extremely tight on my risk management. So it was an expensive lesson learned, but the rewards that I've had since this day have far exceeded £6,200. All right, so I hope that's clear and I hope that helps. Let's move on now to the positive side of the video, which I'm looking forward to. Okay, so my biggest gain in the stock market today. Let's have a look. This was a short position on the Dow Jones, okay? Now, let me explain why I've done this. On the daily setup on the Wall Street, it was coming very close to a very strong resistance on the daily. So I entered a short at that resistance and was expecting it to come down. Obviously, I wasn't expecting it to come down as much as it has. So that was the technical side of it. I don't really get very technical. If you set a strong resistance or a strong support, then I'm going to look to beginning those entries. I don't have any setups, I don't have any indicators, nothing like that. I'm very basic when it comes to technical setups, okay? So bringing in the fundamental aspects, it's always good to have a bit of both when trading, but the fundamental aspects is what you need to be aware of so you can think whether or not this is a scalp or you can let this position run, okay? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a video on this, on what to look out for, when to be able to run a position or to when to know when to scalp. Okay, I'm going to do that soon. On Friday, there was a lot of talk about Europe going into lockdown. Obviously, at the time you're watching this is where we're going into sort of a second lockdown. So I don't know if you're watching it now, you're watching it 6 months, 12 months, whatever. Okay, so there was a lot of talk about Europe going into lockdown and the US as well. Okay, and also we have Donald Trump losing the elections, which when Biden comes in, everybody's taking that as a negative rhetoric for the stock market. Okay, so let me think about this wisely, okay? So you have Europe going into lockdown. Germany, the biggest powerhouses in Europe, of the manufacturing and industrial and whatever else, they will be going down into lockdown, along with France and everybody else, okay? UK is set to follow very soon, we know that anyway. When you have no industrial production or no production whatsoever across Europe, it's going to have a ripple effect across the world, okay? I should have shorted the DAX really, because the DAX come off an absolute cliff. However, Wall Street was at its all-time highs a week before this. Wall Street has the biggest amount to correct, if that makes sense. It's got a lot to come down. Now, I run this position. Luckily, on Monday, I think it was, or Tuesday, they actually come out and confirmed that they will be shutting up shop for a month. Germany shutting up shop for 1 month, and France shutting up shop, and the UK discussing about going into tighter measures as well. So when you think about it, you have no income coming in as a country for 1 month. The markets are so overbought, there has to be some kind of correction. That's a fundamental aspect where you think, this isn't going to be a scalp, you can run this position. And as we saw, Monday it come off 800 points, Tuesday it come off 900 points. And actually, if I'd have left this trade for 24 hours, it would have been about £37,000. It's quite devastating, but I'm sure we can all say if I'd done this and held this for so many more days or whatever else, it would have been this. It is what it is, okay? What I learned from this is when and how to run your positions and why you want to run your positions as well. The fundamental aspects are all in your favor. You can afford to let these positions run. It wasn't going to be a scalp, it never was going to be a scalp. It was going to be a position that I was going to run for a few days on the basis that countries around the world are going to be going into lockdown. £19,000 on one trade. It was actually from Friday to Tuesday as well. So £19,000 over 3 days. Now for a guy like me, coming from where I've come from, you know, growing up with a single father, having nothing at all, to be able to make £19,000 in the stock market over 3 days, when you compare it back to over a year ago when I'm doing trades like that, losing 6,000 in a day, I've come a very, very long way. I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but it's really good for me to see the progression, and I hope you guys can see that as well. And I hope you can understand why I put those trades on as well. This is the importance and the power behind this stock market. Understanding your fundamentals, understanding when trades can be run, and understanding your strategies, your price action, and everything else. So yeah, that was a video regarding my biggest losses and my biggest gains. I hope that helped you, and why, especially with the losses as well, because you know, it's something for you to look out for, to make sure that you don't do, because I know for a fact a lot of you guys have fallen into that rut. Maybe not to that size, but you've ended up losing a trade and then you've ended up going on losing 10 or 15 more because you just completely lost your head. It happens, all right? But the important thing is to learn from it. Mistakes are made for learning, not repeating, all right? That's the most important thing. Mistakes are made for learning, not repeating. And it ended up being one of the biggest lessons and expensive lessons that I've ever had, but it's paid off dividends massively, as you can see. So look, I hope that video helps. Thank you very much for tuning in. As I said, drop us a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll leave it there, guys. Have a lovely day.